Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. First, a quick word from our sponsor. The Daily Book Review for May 14, 2023, the Corruption Edition. First up, Corruptible, Who Gets Power and How It Changes Us by Klaas. Does power corrupt or corrupt people driven to power? Are entrepreneurs who engage in fraud and embezzlement results of a poorly designed system, bad people, or is that just the way we are right now? To answer these questions, the author draws on 500 interviews from some of the world's top leaders, from the noblest to the dirtiest. Based on deep, unprecedented research from around the world and filled with unexpected insights, the most important lesson of Corruptible is that when psychopaths inadvertently reveal their true selves, the institutions they plague must take swift. Next up, The System, Who Rigged It, How We Fix It by Reich. There's a mounting sense that our political system is no longer working, but what is the core problem, and more importantly, how do we remedy it? Reich lays out the answer with clarity and passion about how wealth and power have combined to install an oligarchy and undermine democracy. He exposes the myths of meritocracy, competitiveness, and corporate social responsibility. In demystifying the current system, Reich reveals where actual power lies, how it's wielded, and invites us to reclaim that power and remake the system for all of us going forward. Next up, Money for Nothing, the scientists, fraudsters, and corrupt politicians who reinvented money, panicked a nation, and made the world rich. Channeling his inner dire straits, the author discusses the affairs of how Britain, facing a mountain of debt, invented and used the scientific revolution to help propel it forward. Pointing to the South Sea Company, they laid out a grand plan to swap debt or money for the nation's debt. In this book, Thomas Levenson tells the unbelievable story of the South Sea bubble with all the exuberance, folly, and catastrophe of how that event relates to today. If you don't think it does, well, just look at crypto. The changing of real money for fake money has real consequences to those people who lost literally millions betting on crypto. Our final book in this week's Sunday Book Review comes to us from the world of art, entitled The Devil in the Gallery, How Scandal, Shock, and Rivalry Shaped the Art World by Noah Charney. It's an in-depth look at how scandal, shock, and rivalry are catastrophic in the art world. The Devil in the Gallery is a guided tour of the history of art through its scandals, rivalries, each of which resulted in a positive step forward for art in general and the careers of the artist in question. In addition to telling dozens of stories, the book also examines the proactive role of these in dramatic international events. The devil likes to lurk in the dark corners of the art world, morphing into many forms. I would like to tell you about the latest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network. It's Two Gurus Talk Compliance, where, with my friend and colleague Christy Grant Hart, we take a look at some of the top compliance commentary around. It's a long-form, up to 1 hour podcast, but if you're interested in compliance, if you're interested in Christy Grant Hart and myself talking about compliance, this would be a great podcast for you to check in on. It premiered on March 10th on the Compliance Podcast Network. I know you'll enjoy this latest offering. Additionally, we have Data-Driven Compliance, which is a podcast where I look at the use of data in compliance programs. This is perhaps the most cutting-edge podcast I have going right now. And if you're interested in how data can be used, how to structure a data analytics program, what tools are available out there for you, and how compliance practitioners are using data, this is certainly the podcast for you. So check out Data-Driven Compliance, all on the Compliance Podcast Network. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.